We are here. Okay, Supreet, thank you so much for doing this again. And sometimes I know you call yourself Preeti. Supreet, I'll use both as we go throughout this session.
Mhm.
Thank you for being gracious with your time and giving
Oh,
me
no problem.
double. Okay, so today I have my new Adam JK deck with me. I don't know if you're familiar with his deck. It's just like this pretty pink deck, but he just closed his shop and I was
Uh-huh.
afraid I would never, get my hands on one of his decks. And
Yeah.
so here we are. So I get to use it, and then I'm going to use my little mini deck for you, the
Okay,
size
cool.
comparison. Um,
Oh, nice. Okay.
yeah, the last time we read, we talked about career, we talked
Yeah.
about 2023. Do you want us to revisit any of those
Yeah.
themes, or do you want to talk about other themes? What's on
Yeah,
your
I think
mind today?
I think yeah, we can revisit those themes.
Okay,
Yeah, kind of curious to
perfect.
see. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
like
it'll be
what's like
curious
the
to see. Yeah.
continuity of it, or if the same cards come up.
Mhm.
Okay, so in advance, some of those cards where we saw like Page of Swords, a Page of Cups or Knight of Cups came up a
Knight
lot
of
for
Cups.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Nine of Cups
Mhm.
multiple times. Okay, so we'll kind of know Ace of Swords, anything to do with the sword family.
Yeah.
We may see those. I'm calling them now in advance in case we see any
Mhm.
of them. Oh, this is so ironic. I already pre-shuffled. Knight of Cups or Knight of Swords
Nice.
is at the bottom of so it's already
Yeah.
here. They're acknowledging your existence. Okay, I'm gonna start and I'll just say, hey universe, is there anything that Preeti needs to know career-wise? And we'll just start there.
Mhm.
If that sounds good. Dear universe, I'm here with Preeti, aka Supreet. We just want to know general guidance when it comes to career. Is there anything Preeti needs to know regarding her career? I'm gonna pull 5-ish cards to the side.
Okay.
And this deck, I have shuffled it enough, but it's still newer. So there's a chance that, like one or two of those cards may be next to each other, just, how a new deck works. So I
Oh
tried
yeah.
my best. I've done a couple of reads by now, but just name me that just in case. Okay. Also, I realized maybe it was a Knight of Wands that was coming up earlier and I just didn't realize it. Okay. Knight of Wands is here, but this also matches you. What is
Mhm.
your zodiac again though? So I remember.
It is. So I'm an earth sign, so Virgo.
Virgo, oh great, earth sign. Okay, yeah, this is fire, but because you do a lot of martial arts, that's why like the swords feel right for you and the wands definitely feel right for you.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the deck right here, we have, lo and behold, the 9 of Cups. It has come back once again, and this is what we
Mhm.
kept getting with you. So I'm like, okay, yep, we named it. Okay, so what we're having here mood-wise with just the 9 of Cups by itself is that you are destined career-wise to be very proud of yourself this year. You're going to win a lot of trophies, right? All these 9 cups are yours, and they are well-deserved because it means that you've put in a lot of physical labor, and not just the mental or in the strategic labor, but the physical labor to get here. So I'm very excited for you. And I think this is going to be a year of victory for you. I'm just going to put that card to the side. And then this is fascinating. We have 3 major arcana cards and
Mhm.
then another 9 minor arcana. We have the 9 of Swords. So it's very interesting to see 9. I mean, this actually came up in our last reading. So it gives me the like tingles in a good way, shivers in a good way. Yeah, this
Mhm.
is the same message we got before. So this is good in terms of affirmations. You are closing up old cycles. You are almost ready for a new adventure because in tarot numerology, I know you know this because you're a fellow tarot card reader yourself, but when you get to those 9s, it means that you're almost to 10 and 10 equals completion. Some readers interpret
Mhm.
9 actually as that beginning of the ending already. So you're getting close to the end. So 9 of Swords, normally if this was by itself, I would say, oh, I'm a little concerned. It seems like you're going through a lot. For you, because I've read your cards enough to know what this means, this is more of you've gathered all of the lessons and the learnings from those lessons of past traumas, past grief, anything that you've gone through, misfortunes, and you've converted all of that into the best learnings. You basically made lemonade with all the lemons and limes, headed your way even out of the most sour or the most dry lemon, so to say, you found a way to add some sugar to it. So I'm excited for you. You are now going to really see the fruits of your labor. Knight of Wands, you're ready to strike again, and you're ready to go on a new adventure. And I think you're excited about the feeling of being young again at heart. With this Knight of Wands,
Mhm.
he is signaling, right? Like growth. He's it's kind of like some people would say, oh, he's a little more immature, or he's learning as he's going. But this is exciting for somebody like you who's mastered so many things before, because you aren't afraid to learn and learn again. And so I think for you, the question is, you've learned so much already. So what do you want to learn about now? What do you want to
Mhm.
remaster? Because you have a new lease on life and you get this new opportunity, right? So it's exciting for you to actually get to be a knight as opposed to a king and a queen, because this means there's more abundance, more growth, more opportunity, all really positive. So I'm going to pause before I do the major arcana cards. Any comments you want to say out loud first?
I was gonna say, most of the reading, it definitely resonates, and
Mhm.
just thinking about from a career perspective, like the career path I've been on,
Yeah.
that does kind of sound like that, and it's very like you're saying, cyclic, and
Yeah.
so definitely
Mhm.
it's the sort of one piece is ending, another is starting, and so a lot of this, again, like you're talking about, the like life giving lemons making
Mhm.
lemonade, that really does resonate with, especially on the career path of changing industries, going from one industry to
Yeah.
another, taking those lessons. That really does definitely kind of resonate with me, in the sense of, it was the, what did I learn from my previous industry that I took
Mhm.
into the new industry I went into, and how that's helped. And like you said, the whole idea of, like, the previous industry kind of was like the one where
Mhm.
it gave me lemons, and now I'm able to take
Yeah.
those
Mhm.
experiences and what I learned there, kind of turn it into lemonade here in the new industry, and use that to my advantage in a way, so that I can better
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, you're seeing me reach over for the cards because they just
Hmm.
repeat the same story that you told. So they're all showing up in reverse, and I think it's because a
Hmm.
lot of them signal what is to come. First card, the world card, even just by the shape, it literally echoes what you said about cycles, right? Like it's like clockwork. You are going from one starting point, the end point, but you go right back to the beginning. But this time everything has changed. Like even if you were to go back to that old industry or that same role before, you'd be
Hmm.
coming through those doors as a totally different person, as a learned human, so to say. You have climbed higher in the life hierarchy, so to say. And so this is exciting. And the world represents movement. It represents going in, like finding new life, like life is going to deliver a new assignment to you in the form of coordinates. And it's going to say you're going to move from this part of the map to another. And here
Hmm.
is where your compass is going. And it's going to give you an atlas so that you're not alone in this movement of going from one area to another. So this is exciting. This also is interesting because you talked a lot about past energy, right? Like I've already made one hop from one place to another. I think another one is on its way. In our last reading, we saw a lot to do with mentors and people wanting to open new doors for you, or people
Hmm.
being allies for you. So although it's not showing up in this reading, it could be that energy of more is to come because you deserve it.
Hmm.
Related to that, we have the justice card right here. And I think what's happening here is there's been a rebalancing of justice for you. Whatever happened in your past career lifetime, it's as if you've had 9 lives. And maybe that
Hmm.
last lifetime, like you said, it gave you more lemons than lemonade. But now that you've made so much lemonade, you're going to reap what you sow in a great way. You have so much outpouring, overflowing. Your cup runneth over with all this lemonade. And now there's room for you to spread the love, to feel justice, and to feel like what you got out of this. It may have looked like you got the short end of the stick the first time around. It's not the reality. Something great is coming out of this that you wouldn't have gotten, weirdly enough, without some of that misfortune that may have come the first time. It
Hmm.
didn't just give you the lemon, it gave you the salt, and the salt gave you the flavor. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
To counterbalance the sugariness of the lemonade that you've made this round. So it actually is all a blessing in disguise, which will lead to the final card, the sun card. And you and I both know, as tarot card readers, this is a very lucky card. It represents so
Hmm.
much about good luck, prosperity, good energy, prosperity, abundance. This is meant for you. This is a card that pops up only for people who really deserve that good karma, whether that is from reincarnation or just from what you're doing currently in this lifetime. I always think when I see this, somebody is super blessed and super protected. Based off of our previous conversations, I know spiritually you are very well protected through your family, through what you do for yourself. But this is also the universe chiming in and saying, and just know that we got you, as
Mhm.
above, so below. So the universe, the heavens are looking after you. They are sending you their rays of light and protection. And also this is what allows you to be prosperous, to have an abundance of opportunities career-wise. So I would not worry about you at all based off of this reading. And I would say in terms of the future and the next steps for you in terms of future forecasts, if I were to tie it all together, it would be number one, this 9 of Cups right here, continue to be an entrepreneur, even if it's more of an intrapreneur, which is the term of being like an internal entrepreneur inside of an existing
Mhm.
company. You can still be entrepreneurial in spirit, somebody who is coming up with new ideas, new ways of thinking. You contribute in really innovative ways internally, and that's what allows you to build new streams of business, new pipelines of thoughts. So continue to be this person. A 9 means you're close to the 10 of Cups, which is also a wonderful card to get. So I'm excited for you. With this 9 of Swords, continue to let go and don't stand in your own way of progress. You are close to the 10 of Swords, which other people would say, oh, that's a painful card. I look at that card as a huge blessing in disguise. 10 of Swords is about saying, congratulations, you reached the bottom of the abyss. And an abyss is like this like endless, never ending hole that you're just sinking and sinking in. But what would it be like if you could actually hit rock bottom to start again? And this is what's exciting for you, is that you're about to get to have another reset, another lease on life, like I said earlier, career-wise. So take that leap of faith, even if it makes you look a little silly or a little clumsy. You will have new opportunities that will teach you how to grow. It's going to stretch you. And people, again, may be like, that's weird, but the stretching here is going to be good for you, because most people don't get too many opportunities to switch careers because of scarcity mindsets or worries, right? Like, oh, I'm getting older, I'm supposed to always be climbing up. That's always the mentality we've been raised in society. But the truth is, you learn so much more when you come again from the bottom and you grow little by little, or when people say, hey, I'm going to take the time to teach you that thing or to show you a new way to interpret this, you're going to learn more. And we all know that when you have diverse learnings and perspectives, you have more innovative outcomes at the end of the day, and you get stretched again as a creative, as an individual, and as an entrepreneur. So my final note about this, even though it seems like an aside, is I think the world, the sun, the world card, it's giving you a new
Mhm.
cycle and a new lease on life and growth in your career, because one day you're going to collect all these tools. And my theory is you're going to be the magician. And so even though the magician isn't being pulled right here, my final note is going to land on the magician. The magician, if you look at the magician card, he has 4 of the symbols on his table. He has air, fire, water, and also earth pentacle. And so with all that, what I'm trying to say is he has collected all his tools, just like Pokemon. I would say he had to collect them all. You're collecting
Mhm.
them all. And what's he going to do with that? Like, he did become the magician and the ultimate alchemist without understanding all of those separate elements. So for you, life is giving you a weird assignment that may even seem like it's saying, deter yourself from your current path, go sideways and come back to the true path. The reason why is one day all those elements are going to stack up and something bigger is going to happen. If you ever become an actual CEO or an entrepreneur, what this will be is that you will have known how to work through that company or that industry in every post, every job, every department. Whereas, some CEOs or leaders, they think they're a good leader, but they have no idea how to do the work, right? And a lot of times people actually look down on them because they're like, you think you talk a big game, but you don't know how to walk the walk. You have learned how to
Mhm.
walk the walk in every single way. And that's how it's going to be to your advantage. So I would say humble yourself if you're like, why do I have to start again? This is more of the universe being like, you have no idea the plans we have for you. And so this is all going to lead to some bigger launch point in the future. So final card is, I'm not going to talk about justice because we talked about it earlier with the lemonade, but with that world card again, that's why you have to just trust. The universe has its own a new cycle for you. It's for a reason. It has its own plans for you. It's all going to work out, even if it doesn't feel like it makes sense right now. Questions, comments before we move on?
No, I think as far as that goes, no, pretty much the message actually resonates very well.
Yeah.
And just thinking about all the cards, yeah, that makes total sense. Of like the
Mhm.
order of the cards and how they came up, it totally makes sense of sort of where the
Mhm.
journey's been, where it's going,
Yes.
sort of like what is to come.
hmm I feel that, yeah. And I think past Supreet would be very proud of present day and future Supreet too. It all builds, and that's the beautiful thing. Okay, do you still want just like a general read for 2023 with this tinier
Yeah.
deck, or okay? All right, let me do my usual. You know what I'm up to these days, or like when I do this. Dear universe, please give us guidance for Supreet, aka Preeti. General guidance for 2023. What is in store for Supreet in 2023? Oh, a card. Okay. I keep seeing the Hermit, by the way, so he may pop up again. A
Mhm.
card jumped. Beautiful card. The Empress. I don't think she's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
zoom, so I'm just gonna do here. But the Empress is here, so she jumped out just to say hello. Let's see what else comes up for you.
It's actually surprising the cards aren't
Oh,
jumping
really?
as much as they usually do.
This one I can feel lots of jumpers. That's why I have to like reshuffle them because they all want to say hi. The sun is back, by the way, on the bottom of the deck. So the cards are
Okay.
happy to see you. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
the cards jump a lot, and then other times they're a little bit more tame.
Oh yeah. I had that happen to me last week.
Yeah.
For one of my classes, it literally did that where as soon as I got to the deck, started shuffling, half my deck fell out onto the floor.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I was like,
That's what sorry, go
it
for
was
it.
like, yeah, that I was gonna say. And it was like, it was really funny because I'm like, I just look and I'm like, why is half my deck on the floor? And none of them turned over, but it was like half
Oh,
the deck is on the floor.
they're like, we have something to tell you. We don't want to tell you too much, but we just want you to
Yeah.
know we're excited. It's kind of like that vibe. Yeah. That I felt that actually with this deck. So that's funny that you said that. That's why I had to hold back and reshuffle because I was like, I don't
Yeah.
trust you. Tell me the true message. And I'm happy that I restarted because the first card that wasn't a jumper was
Hmm.
the Knight of Swords. And we literally
Hmm.
said he's probably going to come out. So he came out to say hello again. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to breathe for one moment and just look through all the cards.
Sure.
Um, okay, this is actually a pretty straightforward message, to be quite honest. And I think I'm going
Hmm.
to read them thematically as opposed to normally I read it based off of
Hmm.
like the chronological order of how they fall. But what I'm noticing are certain patterns, so it may just be easier to read them
Yeah.
to see what matches. The Empress and the Queen of Wands. I'm also not going to read in reverse this time. With you,
Hmm.
the cards, I think because you are so cyclical in nature, the cards really do tell that full story of no matter where you
Hmm.
are, these cards kind of make sense with past, present, and future. Queen of Wands and the Empress showed up. Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck. The Empress is the one that jumped out. I always think of the Empress, although she's the Queen of all queens, as like the grown-up big sister version of the Queen
Hmm.
of Wands for me. I mean, they're both very fiery. They have a lot of the same colors in their color palette, right? All the warm tones, especially lots of yellow, red, and orange. And this is beautiful energy because basically to me, these two cards signal that you are the queen of creativity. And in the other one, it was that Nine of Cups energy coming through very strongly of the entrepreneur. So for me, this is about career with this Wands energy coming through, or it's about ambition. And career doesn't have to just be your actual profession. It can be
Hmm.
how you are building yourself up to succeed in whatever pathway you choose in life, your larger life portfolio. That's what I like to call it. This
Hmm.
is a year where I think a lot of things are going to come together, where you see the sophisticated layer of closure of this is why I started moving that way. This is why I was doing that. So in many ways, it's funny. The Fool card showed up as well. And he signals a new beginning, right? And we talked about that in
Hmm.
the last spread, but this is a new beginning for somebody who is already well on her pathway as the Empress and the Queen of Wands. So you may be starting a new endeavor, but it's as somebody who has already walked many steps up a mountain already. You're not a newbie, you're just starting something new, but it's going to allow you to conquer. It's going to allow you to expand your land and your empire as somebody who shows up as royalty and somebody who already has an empire, whether you're
Hmm.
interpreting yourself as the Empress or the Queen. I also say newness because the Empress, as many people interpret her, is always conceiving, whether that is a literal or figurative, new ideas, new things into being. And I always also say the Queen of Wands has the Midas touch, but it's almost like she has the green thumb for life. And so through all of these, they really match thematically to say something new is coming. You will bring it into being. You will birth it into life, probably figuratively and not literally, we'll say. And it's going to be exciting. And I think you're going to be excited. I will note that we do see two. I don't know if you have any pets, but we have a little dog here and we have a little
Okay.
cat here. So maybe this is animal or pet related, or it just means that you'll have spirit guides with you along the journey.
Hmm.
But I don't think you'll be alone, and you will find friends and allies in all living things and all beings, not just in humans is the way I
Hmm.
will put it. I just get this feeling that you're everywhere you look, you will have help. So don't be afraid, even if you're in these very high positions of power, right? As
Yeah.
the Empress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hang
go
on
for it.
one second. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's okay. I was just saying, whether you are the Empress or
Yeah.
the Queen of Wands, where you're in these like high positions of power,
Hmm.
just know that if you ask for help, help will come your way, and that no one's going to judge you. So it's almost as if the cards are also just reminding you, like, don't be afraid
Hmm.
to ask for help. Or if humans, sometimes it's like humans don't know how to be helpful actually, and sometimes they help with opinions as opposed to action. So
Yeah.
look for help in other ways. I don't know
Hmm.
really the message there, but the universe is just saying we're planting good angels in your life. So look for help.
Hmm.
Maybe it's, in the olden days in a fable would be that an animal speaks to you or something and, like gives
Yeah.
you an answer. So it's more like that. Aslan will come, so to say, if you are into, what is it? The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's kind of
Hmm.
that vibe. Okay. So
Yeah.
we have the Knight of Swords and the Devil right here. And then we have the 10 of Swords and we have the Ace of Swords. So this is like just with the two swords alone, what I would say is you have the ending and the beginning, a 10 and then also a 1.
Hmm.
Numerology wise, it could be 10 plus 1 equals 11, 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? So a lot to do with like new beginnings, like
Yeah.
dualities and polarities. I mean, that makes sense, right? Because you're literally having an end and a beginning, and that's
Hmm.
kind of like a duality in itself, right? And so what I see here though is really the passing of the baton of 10, you're closing an old ending, but you're about to seize the day with this new beginning. So it's gonna be, I think, a lot of powerful energy, a lot of
Hmm.
intensity, right? Like endings can be painful, they could be
Yeah.
traumatic, but they could also be more about like, wow, I just went through so much. So it doesn't have to be true
Hmm.
trauma. It could just be exhaustion. It could be like
Yeah.
wow, I appreciate that pathway, right? It took 10 years to get here, whatever it may be. And then this Ace of Swords, you're ready to start anew. It will be in a pronounced way. It's not going to be in a quiet way. Something big is coming up your way. This is a general read, so it goes beyond just
Hmm.
career, but it could be career related. A lot of this with all this ambition talk, yeah, direct. Do you sense
Yeah.
that too energetically, right? Like I'm like, this still feels very career like, to be
Eh,
quite honest.
Yeah.
Or manifestation energy. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, yeah, it definitely, yeah, even with the cards and things, it kind of makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
it can, with the general reading, it's
Mhm.
kind of like, okay, this is what the general outlook is, but also
Mhm.
it again tying back to the career, it's like, and here's like another aspect of it.
Yeah. And it could be with cycles, right? A lot of times I
Uh-huh.
think we've all observed it, right? Like when there's a new beginning in one corner of your life, it
Hmm.
tends to then bleed in a beautiful way into other corners. You move
Yeah.
houses, you move locations, suddenly you get a new relationship, a new
Hmm.
whatever, a new work opportunity, right? All these new connections all happen. So I'm not surprised that this is happening in waves in your life. And then I'd also say it's as if you're going to take this Ace of Swords, this opportunity to seize the moment, to seize the day, a new opportunity. And you're going to take this sword literally as this Knight of Swords right here.
Hmm.
I don't know where you're going, but it looks like you're moving really fast. So maybe you're going to just be like, I got it. I understand the life assignment. And I'm going to just, with no hesitation, keep moving forward. It could be something like that. Not sure, but I know that you will be moving towards passion with this Devil card. I think he showed up in
Hmm.
our last reading too. So
It
this
did,
is
yeah.
beautiful. We're seeing so many beautiful
Yeah.
repeats, right? And the Devil he comes from the same color family as like the Empress and
Hmm.
the Queen of Wands, right? And so I don't fear this card. I always say this in all my readings. So, my usual PSA, the Devil is not even historically
It's
related to the Christian devil. You know this. And for me, when he's paired with your Queen of Wands, with the Empress, with the Fool, all these cards about manifestation, with even, I'm just trying to grab this little 10 of Swords right here. All he's saying is like, okay, so guess what, Supreet? Where you are in 2023 at the beginning is just the beginning. What will lift you up? What will allow you to enjoy life? What will allow you to be the life of the party? And to really expand your heart and your vision for your dreams and your creativity, especially as the Empress, where you can make anything happen. She's pregnant with ideas, right? And she's pregnant with life and the promise of life. So don't live quietly, live passionately. And he's here to really be, in a good way, a good devil on your shoulder, to be like, honey, are you playing too small? Because we want you to have a good life. We want you to feel blessed with so much. And he wants to empower that in you. So that's, I think, his question and his assignment for you this year is like, are you going to go big or go home? And it's time for you to go big. So what would that look like? I don't think you've been playing it safe, by the way, but I think he's just like, okay, let's reward you for doing so much. Part of this too, with that note, I think you lived in a way where you were fearless, and that's why you weren't afraid to get hurt. So when you got to the end of one cycle with this 10 of Swords, it was more like life was like, thank you, child. You did the most. And now we will reward you for this. And that is why you got that restart with, if I can grab it, the Ace of Swords. So I look at this as indicators and just, like affirmation of you've earned your right to be at your throne as the Queen of Wands, as the Empress. You're going to reset. You're going to move forward as this Knight of Swords. And the other one was it was the Page of Wands, right? Both, again, it's all the same thing. You're just growing. And in this one, I would say, because the hierarchy of tarot works from Queen with a handoff to the King of whichever suit, like what that's telling me is you're just going to grow again. You're just going to manifest, and then you're going to go from the Queen to the King, from the Empress to the Emperor. And so this is exciting energy, and this means, in a good way, like, congratulations, the journey for you is not over yet. There's more for you to grow, more for you to gain, and also more for you to give. To me, the King and the Queen, the Emperor and the Empress, is also about being generous, and never having that like Four of Pentacles scarcity mindset. Instead, it's that Six of Pentacles of generosity and being the giver. And so the more you grow, I think the more you're going to gain, and then the more you're going to be generous back to the world. And so I think this is all beautiful, all cyclical. And so, I'm just sharing that last bit of wisdom for you, because for some reason, intuitively, the cards, I think they wanted me to remind you of that too, is it's not just about how you grow, it's about how you give to others as you are growing, and as you allow them or help them grow and support them too. And I will also say this, what's beautiful about you, I say this because I know you very well, but I think I see it in the cards as well, is you've got the lesson of the 10 of Swords so that you could teach it to others, so that others would not be fearful. Like, I'll call a spade right now. We're doing this reading in the middle of a huge like hiccup in the economy. Just when it felt like things were kind of stabilizing again, the world's getting really messy. You have already gone through your own experiences. And now you can pour into your community and teach them of how to be unshakable in a very shaky time. You can show them in all the ways that you have had your lived experiences of how to rise up again when it feels like you reached the bottom. And it's all about making lemonades out of lemon, but it's also about the mindset. And it's about overcoming the mental battle, the emotional battle, which this card represents. And that's what you have really been good at. You've been a student of how to get out of this mindset. And that is why, re-ending on this again, Ace of Swords, the universe said, we're going to reward you by giving you the literal Ace of Swords. It's in your hands now. What are you going to do with this knowledge, with this intuition, with all that you've gained, the wisdom? And that is why now you're going to rise and you're going to become the king, the emperor, not just the queen. I'm like, yes, snaps. So that's really the end of this reading, or this spread. Any questions? Any other requests for other readings?
No, I think this is, again, pretty good and like fairly spot on. And of course, some of the cards, not a surprise. They somehow or the other, they tend to show up here and there. There's like a handful of them that kind of, I guess I would say, follow me around. So
yeah,
they'll show up.
as a reader, I always feel so affirmed and comforted when I see that. And when my clients tell me that, or my friends like you tell me that, because then that tells me the cards are listening
Mhm.
and they feel your energy and they honor and respect your energy. And they're like, we know you're here. At least this time it made sense, because last time some of those cards just came to say hello in the middle of like another whole spread or conversation. And I was like,
Yeah,
explain this to me. But this time
it's
there was clarity.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna formally say thank you to you, and just say it's been a blessing to get to read for you now 3 times in a very short amount of time. You have been so generous already by gifting me with your time and your own spirit of wisdom and knowledge about tarot reading. So thank you. Can I end maybe with one question for you? If
sure.
somebody has never gotten into tarot, holistic healing, and the healing arts is the way I will call it,
Mhm.
tell me either what you would say to them, or is there an experience that you want to relay to them so that they understand it's not this spooky and scary thing, or this obscure thing. I don't know if that's a question anymore. I just kind of did a word vomit, but yeah, any thoughts about the healing arts to skeptics or to people who are cautiously curious about it but haven't gotten started?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, I would say, has to do with curiosity,
Mhm,
and it's
mhm,
just being curious about it. I know I fell into tarot more so from finding stuff on Instagram. I
mm,
actually have um, a friend of mine's. She herself actually got into tarot, and she would share like a card of the day kind of thing, and I was like, okay.
mm,
I would see it and it was like, okay, what is this, like, how does this work? And because for me, I like learning sort of how things work. I'm always curious about that. I always want to know
mm,
sort of
mhm.
what's in the background, like how does all this work. That's how I started kind of looking around, and I started following a few people on Instagram who were like tarot practitioners. Started following them, and finally, one of them, I just kind of resonated with her. So
Mhm.
I reached out to her and actually asked her. I was like, "Hey, um, I know I follow your account, and I'm just kind of curious to know, would you have time to,
Mhm.
maybe teach me, or do you
Yeah.
teach?" Do you
Mhm.
teach tarot? And she happened to say, yeah, she did. And so she and I talked, and she was like, yeah, I teach it. We can, totally do lessons, whatever you're interested in. And in her case, she just sent me sort of her information that she had. And
Mhm.
she did
Mhm.
it. She was doing it originally on like a lesson by lesson basis of
Yeah.
how many
Mhm.
lessons you're interested in, kind of thing. And I told her, I was like, she's like, well, I have 3 different lessons I do. And so I asked her, I'm like, well, I'm interested in all 3. So
Mm,
I was like,
mhm.
I'm interested in like part 1, part 2, part 3. Can I get a deal with you on that? Instead of doing just per, like, paying you per
Yeah,
lesson,
yeah,
can
totally.
I just can I do a package deal with you? Like, would you mind doing that? And she agreed. And so she and I actually got started. We had a time difference because she was in Portugal.
Mm. Oh,
I found out.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I found out she was in Portugal. So we had like a 5-hour time difference. And so she and I would do it where it would be afternoon for her, but it would be morning for me. And we kind of did it right over Zoom. And we had it where she had homework. So that was, for me,
Mhm,
that was one of the
mhm.
things that's like, that's how I got more and more into it. And she kind of got me started on, so the deck I started with was the Lightseers tarot deck, because that one is all imagery. And so in order
Mm,
for me to
okay, okay.
learn, and like in order for me to learn, she wanted, the way she teaches is that it's, I want you to learn the imagery and learn what the cards mean through the imagery,
Yeah.
and then you can learn all the key words. And you started
Mhm,
doing the association for the keywords and everything. And then I, like, once I kind of finished up with her, I started exploring on my own, and I found other tarot teachers like
mhm.
Radley Valentine and Kyle Gray, learned about their decks and some of their classes. And like with Radley, he has it where all of his decks actually have the keywords and everything right on
Yeah.
on
Mhm,
there. It'll
mhm.
have it on there. He also has, because he does a lot of archangel work, so his decks, some of them will actually have the archangel associated with that specific card within the
Mhm.
tarot deck. And so it was like, it kind of opened up this whole new world to me. And I was like, this is fascinating. It's like really
Yeah.
cool. And
Mhm,
so like
mhm.
that's how I fell into it. Quite honestly, it was like mainly out of curiosity.
Yeah, I hear you. Like that's sometimes when people ask me, I'm like, if you love history, if you love mythology or art,
Hmm.
or systems thinking, you're gonna love tarot. Like because it's about lore, it's each character, the symbolism, like you were saying, the visuals, like it tells its own rich history. And then
Hmm.
as you learn the references or like the separate stories about each deck, or like the devil card that we talked about earlier, like
Hmm.
here's its whole history. It's completely different than what you thought it would may
Yeah.
be. And it's okay to also intuitively have your own special meanings, right? Like you were
Hmm.
saying too, intuitively. And so I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like, oh my gosh, now like maybe I need a separate series just to talk with people about their own tarot journeys, because that also
Hmm.
seems just as exciting. So maybe I will have to invite you to come back again, this time with less technical difficulties. I just want to thank you again. You have been so wonderful, and such a you really were a team player with this. So thank you. Any last words on your side before we jump off?
Um, I don't have anything. I think, yeah, as far as the readings go, I took down some notes. I kind of wrote down all the cards, because I
Mhm.
do what I tend to do is I kind of just let it sit for a day or two, then I come back
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
I look at the cards and it's like, okay, it's and then kind of looking at the messages that were coming out from the reading and it's like, okay, yeah, this makes sense or this doesn't, like
Mhm.
all that. I'll kind of do my own analysis of it and it's
Mhm.
interesting to see
Mhm.
some of the patterns that come out.
Yeah, I'd be interested too, like down the road, if you ever want to come back and revisit, like
Yeah.
what the cards really reveal, right? Because sometimes the cards speak very cryptically, sometimes it's
Hmm.
obvious, or sometimes you think that made sense in the short term, but wow, it had totally different like echoes or boomerangs, and it totally it replayed the same cycle again, but on a
Yeah.
larger level later, right? And so I'd be curious to see what happens in Q3 or Q4 with some of
Hmm.
this. It definitely looks like you will be manifesting. There's so much, I'm just looking at the cards again, like there's so much
Yeah.
sword energy. So this is clearly a year of like communication for you as well. And like
Hmm.
trusting your instincts, your intuition as well, like just thinking about what the swords represent. And I didn't talk about that as much in our readings. I felt a lot of fire energy coming through more than just earth energy, but I always look at
Hmm.
that as the maturity of an earth sign growing up into a fire sign,
Yeah.
in the same way that I feel like that about water signs that mature into air signs. It's kind of
Hmm.
like, how do you grow your feelings into strategic thinking? How do you grow your resourcefulness that comes from the earth energy into ambition, fire energy? So that's how I view things interconnectedly, as opposed to like one is better than the other. It's more like how do you grow from one thing to another?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you all want to grow, right? And so,
Hmm.
yeah, like I just see beautiful manifestation energy, in other words, for you. So I'm excited for you. Don't be a stranger. We can do this
Of
again.
course. Yeah.
It's such a blessing to get to read for you so many times. So thank you for also being on this experimental project of mine.
Yeah. No
You've been so
problem.
generous, and I wish you just nothing but the best. Okay, so I'm going to formally close this now, and I will say thank
Okay.
you.